before starting any migration or before even think about doing all those things, we need to consider a lot of things. Which is very, very essential to plan your migration so that the journey will be very smooth. So as people who are in a team member, it's very important to know what is available within this and what we can do with it. Basically, whenever we are talking about clouds or cloud technology, you need to understand one basic thing, that it is not, it is kind of just getting inside your a shop or a supermarket and just to pick the things whatever we need. Here we are not creating anything. Here we do not have a freedom to make our own products. We are just consuming something that is already available. So it is always best to understand what is available for that to make it consume, and what I can do, right? It is simply like if whatever we are doing in our own premises is like is cooking in our own kitchen, and it is just like to going into a hotel and to get whatever we need. So most of the time it happen that my likings are not available in my hotel, or else I can prepare anything inside my home, but in the hotel there is a prepared menu that I just need to go through it, and I need to pick one from the menu. So there may be some up and downs inside it. So before going to a hotel or before going to anywhere out to have a good food or something, it is very, very essential for everyone to understand what to do, how to do, and what may be available, what may suit us, what may not. So we are just going to talk few things about it and find out that how good it can be. Start. Okay, I hope that this will be okay with you guys, or else maybe if you are expecting something else, you please let me know, right? Okay. So here we are going to talk a very little about the migration tools that is available right now for it's all about the Azure cloud migration and not with any other thing. So it's and the Azure cloud migration exclusively for the database migrations. So we are going to talk a little bit about the tools that is available for us that make the journey very easy for us to move from an on-premises to a cloud. And then we are going to talk something about something that may not many people talk about. These are all about a part of the planning. Even before going inside anything, few things we need to very much care about. So these are few of such things that we need to consider, we need to know, and we need to try it out before even we recommend or we get into the game, right? So we are going to talk something about the cloud economics, a little bit about the TCO calculator, the Azure hybrid benefit, and few of the architect that is available in the Azure, ready architectures available in Azure, so that you can just pick one and get inside one. And again, one of the important is the cloud adoption framework that is also provided by Azure. So these things will help you to ease your journey while moving your database, will not fund your databases, but anything from your on premises to your cloud. Right. So this is going to be a kind of an introduction kind of things, just to maybe many of you are very well know about all these things. May have for few it may be a a very new thing. So I just try to make it balance between both of them, and let's go. Okay. So what's the need of the migration? Why we actually need to migrate from anywhere? Basically, if we have everything in our hand, it may be a huge cost. It need people, it need resources, and it need an extreme care to maintain everything. We know we most of us are DBAs, and obviously our bread and butter are rely on this. We are always doing the maintenance work. We are doing this kind of infrastructure maintaining work and DB maintaining work. So we know it include for our companies, for the owner who is doing these things, it include a huge cost for them. And so people, and again, whenever a new technology come, it is very hard to shift into a technology. It is hard to know what is available inside it. So if we are migrate into a place where everything is available to us ready made, and it just keep on adding something behind, it just keep on adding the technologies, it just keep on adding the security, and it reduce our work a lot. And again, it will also give a cost benefit to us. So it is always an good option to think about such things and do a migration. But migrating just like that is always not a easy thing. People may be always have an experience of doing migration. Most of the people I know, that people of among 50 plus people who are connected here, obviously you may not belong to one single place. You may study somewhere for your job purpose you migrated somewhere. So every time we know that how hard is a migration for even from one place to another place. So the thing, whenever we are trying to do a migration ourselves, means not I'm not talking about the database or anything, I'm just talking about the people migration. When I'm shifting myself from my hometown where I completed my studies to a place where I'm totally new, where I'm totally stranger to do my work. So I need to know a lot of things. I need to prepare myself for the thing. And so that migration actually happened in 3 stages. So first thing, when I know about where I'm going to go, so the very first thing I did a little bit study about it, what it is, what may be available, where I can stay, what kind of food it will be available, where I can go for a movie or something. So I did a little bit of studies on that. I prepare myself for that. Maybe if I'm moving to a cold place like Bangalore from a place like Chennai where it is very hot, so I may not even wear a sweater in my entire lifetime. So I may need one in Bangalore. So I'm preparing myself for this because I need to adopt those things. I may not be a person ready for Bangalore. Or so a basic preparation is always needed before doing a migration. And again, the migration phase where I'm actually doing a migration, actually I'm moving from getting a bus, getting a seat over there, going there, settle into a home, preparing my home, prepare my kitchen, prepare my bedroom, everything, and get settled inside is having the first day good night sleep. And after that, the third stage is to get tuned to it. Maybe I may not fit for many things. I just find out that these are good, these are good. I may not be introduced to many things. I may get those things over there. So I just try to slowly adopt those things and try to get inside that life so that I will be get more benefit out of it rather than whatever I do. So this is exactly the same 3 phases which every application or every database go through while it do its migration from on-premises to its cloud. So exactly the 3 phases you can see over here. So this is the journey. Let me move this things. Once let me make it simple. Okay, yeah, so this is a journey. So in the journey you can see that the first thing is assessing is that to understand what we do in our home, what we are we ready for doing a migration, do we have everything in our hand, what will be the cost for migration, what will be happen if I do a migration. Those kind of things will be assessed to find out and to find out whether I'm a fit or not to do a preparation for the migration and all. Second thing is to do the migration process where we find out what will be the best strategy for me to do a migration. Once I know what is available over there, what I do in my hand, then I need to prepare a clear trip sheet where I can just list out the things that okay, this is going to be there and this is the best option for me to go over there. So I need to prepare a strategy for me. Then I need to apply the strategy for it, and while applying the strategy I need to find out the appropriate tool for me. We always need to remember that cloud services, any cloud services, it is just like a very big supermarket. You can find out a lot of things inside it. There is not always a straightforward one-to-one go methods. There is always a combination which can suit our need, or even there is a no straightforward combinations available. We can always pick one or another tool from the cloud services. Even we can merge 2-3 cloud services along with, and we can do any of the thing we can even think about. Okay, so whenever we are working inside a cloud, never expect that everything will be available ready-made to us. It may or it may not be available, but that is always a way. So the one best thing to even start this cloud journey, we need to understand is what is available there, what is available or as a services to us in the cloud, what is available for us to do these migrations, what is available for us to we go and live over there. So all these things we need to understand. Okay, fine. So once we do that migration based on as per our own strategy, whatever we build, the third thing is to optimize it. Once we get inside it, we need to get into that life. So we will go there, we will find out what will be the best for us. Once I did the migration, again I can find out what will be the best practices to do over there, how I can save my cost and all. So you can even whatever the savings we are doing, we can find out whether we can utilize few more things. Maybe when we work on premises, we may not think about anything, but when we go to a big supermarket, we can find out new things over there, new services over there which may benefit us. So we can even think about that. Okay, are we able to share those things, are we able to consume those things, are we able to share a cost over those things and get more benefit out of it, right? So that is the stage where we do optimize. And finally, as everything is going to be on the cloud, it's going to be a public or a private, whatever, it is going to be work over an internet. So we need to do as very stringent security and management over there, right? So if you compare this migration journey and the migration journey, what I just told you before about my journey from my native to my workplace, it is almost, you can see, you can map both of them very similar, right? In both of them, both of the journeys, it is almost the same thing, almost the same step, almost the same care we need to take about, so that our life on the second part will be very easy, right? Okay, so let us see what we have, our what will be, again we do have in this. Okay, so if you see it, it is just a simple overview of the migration. So if in case of the database migration exclusively over the Azure, so in the on-premises you may have a SQL Server from 2005 to 2017 or something, and you may have an Oracle, MySQL, Postgres. So our Azure migration services is going to support everything over the on-premises whatever is available. We have the option. It is not only limited to the SQL Server; it can be extended to any type of database service that is available in on-premises. And our Azure is also prepared with multiple services that is available. You can choose a direct virtual machine where you can put your SQL license, install a SQL Server instance, and just migrate over there. You can use an SQL Server managed databases. You can use a MySQL database services. You can use a Postgre or a Cosmos DB. So these are all the services or products that is available inside the Microsoft Azure. So okay, so my places are ready. On-premises is the place where I'm going to start with, and my Microsoft Azure is going to be the place where I'm going to end with, right? So in between this, the things what we need to understand is how the journey can be, who will going to help me, how I can, who make me sure that I'm prepared for it or I'm not prepared for it, and who is going to help me if I'm not prepared. So that is also important, right? So we cannot say that I am always prepared for it. So I need someone who has a good knowledge about these two things, who has a good knowledge about on-premises and good knowledge about Microsoft Azure. And here the one important person come in handy is your data migration assistant. Right. So we all know that a Microsoft journey itself means Microsoft themselves are a very pioneer in creating this database services and all. They're very, very pioneer in creating this kind of tools and technologies. And now they are moving to the Azure business. So Microsoft, none other than Microsoft is the best person for us to guide to take this journey, right? So they created one assistant. That assistant is going to help us, who has a complete knowledge about their own products. They're very well be. That's no question about the skill of Microsoft, obviously. So that is one person who is going to take us, hold our hand, take us step by step, and make our journey going to be very smooth. Okay, so the things what we need to understand is or how the person, how the assistant is going to help us is that he is going to give us a lot of things. He is going to give a lot of insight about what we have do in our hand, what we are going to get over there, what is the gap in between, and what may be the new things we can get over there. So there are a lot of things over there, right? And once this assistant prepared us, he's prepared us, he just do the preparation work for us. Once he did the preparation, we will be ready to move ahead and utilize the Azure database migration services, that is the services, the online services that will utilize the reports of the assessment services on use report of this database migration assistant, and it will do the migration very smoothly, because it's kind of this DMA is going to give a assessment. It's going to tell me what is the problem, how I need to fix it, and after I did all the fixes, it will rerun the assess, it will check, it will say me, certify me that yeah, you are now ready to go for a migration for a cloud. And based on that certification, your Azure database migration service is going to again pick up the journey from there and help us to smoothly move over the Microsoft Azure, right? So this is the three things that which we are again going to talk about. So there are three stages. You can consider that there are the three going to be the three stages. One is the pre-migration, the another one is the migration, and third is the post-migration. So in the pre-migration stage, we are going to find out. First is the discovery. So in the discovery stage, we are just going to find out what is in our hand. So we just take a blank paper in our hand, just make a empty Excel sheet, just put an inventory that what is right now in my hand, what are the databases, what are the database roles, what are the applications available with it, what is the connectivity, do I use any any packages or something, do I may have any special cases of security over there, do I belong to any any inaccessible place where I'm just getting my data and kind of thing. So I just need to find out and list out everything that what do I have. Then again, the second thing is assess. Assess will help us to find out whether these inventory, whatever we prepared, these are ready to go to the cloud or not. So that will be that will assess the workload, and it will give you a recommendations. It will give a proper recommendation that boss, see, this particular two things cannot migrate unless you are going to do this particular thing. You cannot migrate it just like that because you have some problem in it, and it will give me recommendation to fix those problems. So I have a freedom to do the fixations and will not get stuck once I move everything. Then I spend a lot of time over there to migrate, and finally after reaching my home I find that, oh my god, I forgot this thing, and now I'm not suited to over there, right? So it will do a pre-assessment for us. It know what is possible, what is not possible, and it will easily tell me that yes, these are the problems you need to fix these things, and you need to, then you will be ready for your journey, right? So after that, the one important thing is to convert. The conversion is exclusively required only when there is a heterogeneous migrations, obviously, because when we are going to migrate some other kind of DBs like Oracle or MySQL, PostgreSQL, that may be a conflict in a data type, or maybe some features that may not be suited equally over both of the environment. So it will again going to give you a proper assessment over that, and to tell you to convert those things so that your schema will be good to migrate over the cloud. Okay, so that will be the pre-migration. During the migration phase, again, the three things what will having is the first, it will migrate the schema, it will prepare your data set database over that. Then again, it will migrate your data and the objects. So already we know, because of our pre-assessments, we know that our data schemas and everything is prepared and good to go into the cloud. So this migration service will help us to move our schema, data, and object. Else it will also help us to do a data sync, because there are a lot of strategies in it. When we work with the live data, or when we work with live application, it may or may not be affordable for a customer to hold their application for some time, to have a big downtime. It always depend on the customer, it always depend on the application, kind of application what we are working about. So we do have multiple strategies where it is affordable to bring the system down for some time and do a migration calmly. We can take that approach. When there is no option such, and if we are just going to work on the non-business servers, and we need to very 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 particular about that the system will work all the time when the business server is on, and the migration is supposed to be happen behind the screens, and person who is going to use it, or the utilizer, or the users may not even aware about what is going behind the scenes. Then in there we have multiple options like doing a data sync and all, and finally cut over from the sources to the target final. This is a one thing which will help us to minimize the downtime as much as possible. That's what I told, that it always depends on what kind of customers you are working with, and what kind of application you are working with, whether it's affordable or not. It's always a question of that, right? Once I did a migration, I'm smooth, I'm going over there, I get inside the boat. Now I need to understand what may help me to bring down the cost more and more, how I can utilize these services as much as possible, so that my application will be smooth, my services whatever I'm using there may be smooth, and I just get out from my kitchen, I get inside a new big hotel. So I need to understand what is available there, what I can take benefit out of it, and how I can improvise these services, how I can improve my own services and all. So that will be come in the post migration services, where it will just iteratively do the changes in your application, tune the application, run the testers, do the validation, run the experiments on your performance, your speed, your security, everything, and it will just keep on optimizing. So these are, again, I think we are again and again talking about the same thing, but I'm just concentrating on these things because these are the very very basics you need to understand. Because once you do not have this knowledge, it's going to be cost you more when you're just going to do a migration from your on-premises to your cloud. So understanding the basics, understanding what is behind the scene, what is available, what is not available, is very very essential for us, right? So again, what this data migration assistant is going to give me, right? So when it assess, sorry, when this data migration assistant, it is going to be a desktop tool. Okay, right? You can simply download the data migration, as it is a free tool. You can easily download it and run it on your system, on your servers. It is because it's a window based application. It is because it's a downloadable a window application only because it need to be very close to your source. Now we are going from a on-premises to a cloud, so obviously my sources, everything will be reside on a server, a physical server. So it need to be very close to a server, so that it can access everything inside the server and understand your data properly. So this is going to be a window tool for you. When you download it and you run it, so what it will do, it will going to assess your on-premises SQL Server instance, okay, and to migrate the data to migrate everything on Azure SQL databases. Okay, so there will be a assessment workflow. We will create one project for it. First, once we get this assistant, we will create one project, by kind of a migration project for it, and within the migration project, it is going to give you a workflow where it will do all the assessment by itself, and it find out that detect the issues what is available in our on-premises database, which may affect the Azure SQL database migration. So the major issues what I will find out is the migration blocking issues. The migration blocking issue means what will be the major issue that completely is going to block your Azure, which is completely not is suited for your migration, and it is going to tell about it. And the second thing is going to tell about a partially supported or unsupported feature. There may be few features that you exclusively build inside your system, and it may not be available right away in the cloud, because cloud is an evolving environment. So a lot of things are in line. Microsoft is keep on adding its services again and again and trying to make it as good as on premises. So services may not be available, some of the features may not be available in the cloud. So it is also going to give you an assessment about what you may lose if you're going to move your services, or what you may need to keep in on premises and what you can take to the on cloud services. So it is going to give you both a blocking issues, a partially supported issues, and again there may be something called as a compatibility issue. The compatibility issue means once I'm moving over there, it maybe have a problem. It maybe have a problem. It may be break your application. It may not work in the same way as it worked in the on premises. So that may be a breaking changes, a behavioral changes, or some of the feature may be deprecated. When I'm trying to migrate a old database, maybe if I want to everything on 2015, sorry, 2005, not 15, sorry, 2005 or 2008 R2 something. 2008 is very common. We can find a 2008 R2 very commonly right now. So if someone want to move from a 2008 to an Azure cloud is always, it's a latest version is available over there. Azure version is always latest. So few of the features, it may get deprecated over the time. Okay, in the last 10 years, it may get deprecated. So if we are getting benefit out of that features, we are exclusively use those features long back. It may also give it going to tell that this feature will not be available and these are get deprecated. Okay, so that is one thing. And again one more thing is the feature recommendation. Feature recommendations are based on whatever we do have in our hand. It know that this is available right now in on-premises, only these things are available, but if you go to move on a cloud, these are the additional things they may get. Because of that additional thing, you may get an additional performance, you may get a good security, or you may additionally get some good storage, or something like that. So it is going to give you recommendation both on that too. So basically the three type of recommendation we are getting from a data migration assistant is the one is the completely blocking issue, which will going to stop our migration totally. Second is the compatibility issue, that may be a problem, maybe there will be a workaround for that. Third is going to be give a feature recommendation which we can adopt, which may be a good thing to adopt. It may not be available right now with us. It may be, we may get it over there, right? So okay, right. Again, apart from these, if we are going to put it over a Azure virtual machine, where we are going to completely use the VPN and other technology, this will going to help you to tell that which component, the component like your schema of the databases, data and user, your server roles, and logins, even the window login, server login, because we are going to put everything on a virtual machine. So when we talking about a virtual machine, it is again going to be your same server sitting on a cloud. So here the migration will be a complete machine-to-machine migration. That's like pick it over here and put it over there. So there may not be compatibility issue or something. So it will going to give you a complete workflow to migrate your schema database data user even along with your Windows login. Right. So this is your data migration assistant will do. Again, your data migration. Right. Apart from this, your data migration assistant also help us to migrate your SSH services. If you do have anything in our on-premises SSH, it will also help you to tell that when it will going to move over there in the managed instance, that what will be the compatibility issue. Again, it is also going to give the same thing for the SSH also, like the migration blockers or the information issues like that. Okay. So what is in your data migration services? So in the data migration services, it is going to, once my data migration assistant is going to assess my database and completely give me the recommendation, I have the option to fix those recommendations, run the assistant again, find out whether I'm compatibly good or not to go with it. So once everything is fine, this will generate a report, and that report we will give simply to the migration services. So this migration services is completely managed services from Azure. So it understand what is available, what is not. It will completely take that report, and you can simply sit back and relax based on that report. It will do an assessment. It will just take everything from your services, from your on-premises, and move smoothly to the Azure services. Because when you are writing or taking the assistant of your data migration assist, at the time itself you are going to tell me what is in my hand and what is going to be the target, what is the service I'm going to use. So in the data migration assist report itself, we get everything over there. We get all the scripts and all. So you just put the script over here and it will do the migration very smoothly. Okay. So so it is going to give you a complete high availability solution, high available solution. And it is going to use the services of the data migration assistant. It is going to generate an assessment report. Okay. And again, it will provide the recommendations and guide you through the changes required to prevent the migration. So it will again going to tell you that this is the thing, these are the thing you need to take care about, and finally we'll go to migrate over there, right? So you can have that option obviously to do the recommendation and remedies before doing the migration, and it will migrate finally. And again, it will again take care about the best practices in the Microsoft already recommended Microsoft best practices. So you need not to worry about all those stuff, whether which one to choose, which one not to choose, kind of things you need not to worry about. When you're utilizing the data migration services, it already have a lot of sets of best practices to apply over here. It will just consume those services and it will move ahead. Okay, so we'll move a little bit fast. Okay, so while we moving a database services, we do have options to do by all this way. So we can always have a option to backup to a file, or we can directly do a backup to a URL. We can take a database migration assistant. We can detach under log shipping. These are the strategies we can do. We need to strategize. We already saw when we are having a step, we need to find out a strategy what to do with. So these are the few strategies that is available, and that is a recommendation when to use the services and when not to use the services. Okay, so if you see when it is good to take a backup to a file and where it is available, where it is applicable. So, and what is the limitation for it. So again, backup to the file is, it is very simply just take a backup and restore over there. So it's very well tested technique to moving a database across the machines. And again, backup to the URL is one of the services that is available. It is available from only SQL Server 2012. If you do have a SQL Server 2000 prior to SQL Server 2012, you cannot use this. Backup to the file can work from SQL Server 2008. Backup to URL will work only with using the SQL Server 2012. And here, what it will do is it will actually reduce the backup time, backup size, and it will just try to do it simultaneously that taking a backup, and it does just move directly to the URL where we create the VM first, and we will just put a endpoint, so it will just move over there. Database migration assistant, we see it a lot. We already talk about it a lot. Again, detaching and attaching is one of the thing which we already know, and it is also get supported from SQL Server 2008. when we have to apply is this, when you plan to store the file using the Azure Blob Storage, means if you are again taking Azure Blob Storage along with the services, and if you have a plan to utilize that, then it is easy and then it is good to use the services, use this kind of first and go with the strategy where you can just detach your database in your on-premises and utilize the blob storage services attached there to the instance of the SQL Server. Okay. Log shipping, we already know a lot. Log shipping, we did a lot, and it is a very oldest technologies to do a backup and to create a high availability solutions. So that similar like log shipping solution can also be used over there, where we can simply replicate the things. We have two instances, one instance on premises, one on our cloud, and we can again apply the same old strategy of log shipping, where we just move the transaction log and build a server over that on top over the time. Okay. Again, the things what we need to consider is planning is very important in the entire journey. If you see, the planning and the preparations is very important. Once you are very prepared for it, you can easily go to the migration. The migration assistant will take care about everything, but the thing that the migration assistants or the migration services cannot do is your own preparation on your own premises, because entirely it is in your hand. So there are the, if you want to know the good tips, already Microsoft as a managed services, it already put everything, every good strategy, every good best practices over their own services. So we as an architect, we need to care about only the best practices what we need to follow in our own premises or in from our side, and not too much concentrate about what we need to do over the cloud. Okay. So the common consideration over here is to find out what are the how many number of servers and database we need to take about. What is the size of the databases we need to go, because these are all the things we need to consider to find out and plan our journey. And again, the acceptable business downtime will be in the using the migration process. Okay. And these are the common preparation. Whatever the strategy, you have the option to go to a virtual machine, you have the option to go to Azure managed services, you have the option to go to use the direct Azure SQL services, whatever the way you need to go with. There are few common preparation we always need to do, that is very important for us. So these are the common preparation we need to be prepared before we do the migration. So in this common preparation, one thing is to create the Azure virtual network for Azure data migration services by using the Azure Resource Manager deployment model. It is already available. Okay, so it will provide you the site-to-site connectivity, because you are now going to take your on-premises data to your cloud. So here you need to establish a connectivity between these two. So this is one of the thing we need to always build. So after you create the Azure virtual network, it will going to give you a site-to-site connectivity for your premises on-premises services resources to your cloud resources through a VPN. Again, the second thing we need to do is to make sure whether all the security things are good. So we need to ensure that our virtual network security group, it is not going to block the outbound port, that is our data services is going to move through this. So we need to find out, we need to be very sure about that it is not get blocked, and it not blocked for the services, that is exclusively for the service bus, storage, and Azure monitor. These three things will come inside through this port to monitor all these things and do the movement smoothly. And again, we need to find out whether the firewall applications, if there are any of the firewall applications are available, firewall is applied properly in my source database. If there is it's not available, then we may need to apply a firewall rules to add to allow the Azure database migration services to access the source database. Okay, it is because as Microsoft is following the best practices, it will look for it. If it is an unsecured thing, it may not allow you to do it. So we need to be prepared for all these things. It's one of the important preparation we need to do. Again, we need to configure our window firewall engine, and again window firewall for the database engine access, and again we need to enable the TCP/IP protocol. By default, when we are using the SQL Server Express or something, this TCP/IP protocol is get disabled. So we need to make sure that we need to enable it again. Okay, there are a few other services also that basically disable that, so we need to do it again. These are the few common preparations we are talking about, and exclusively when we need to move from a SQL Server to Azure SQL DB, then what we need to do is okay, what we need to do is we need to create instead of SQL Server DB database instance. So these are the things we need to first do. Okay, so Azure SQL database instance, then we need to install the data migration assistant. We need to create a access pool between these two, our data migration assistant, to access our SQL Server so that it can understand, it can learn it and give us the recommendation. Then create a firewall rule. Again, we need to give a permission to the control server, permissions to the server instance, and again that's the whatever the credential we are going to give, we do have a permission to control the database also. So this is the preparation we need to do when we are going to use an SQL server to a Azure SQL DB. So this need to prepare over here. And if we are going to migrate to a managed services, okay, so we need to create a SQL managed instance, then allow the firewalls, then again to allow the window firewall to Azure to access the managed instance also. If we are running a multiple named instance, in the case multiple named instance of SQL Server, here we need to open the dynamic ports too. So we can also need a SQL browser services over there if it is it's a multiple SQL named instance. Then again, we need to find out, we need to ensure that the logins are good over there to connect. Then network share need to be connected because these are again just instance to instance transfers. So we need to find out to do a network share so that the Azure database migration services can use. And again, we need to find out the service. We need to ensure that the service account that is running over the SQL instance do have the right privileges. Then if we need, we have to create a blob container, and we need to find out which is the window user which have the complete privileges to do this thing. So these are the few things we need to consider for the do a managed instance. So if you see what I noted over here, these are just a preparation work, because once if we preparation is the only important thing in the entire migration journey, it is very crucial, very important. This is the only thing where we need to care a lot about. Once we need to do the preparation and everything, then the migration is always a smooth thing. So so this is that's why I'm concentrating much on all these things. And again, if we move ahead of it, this is one of the architecture that we can utilize for a logical replication. So I'm just talking about these two things, a simple things that to give you an idea that how it can happen. So if you can see here, we are just do a logical replication. So here you can see the four things. One is the initial data load, and again the incremental data changes, where we need a site-to-site data connectivity and the database schema objects what will be available. So here you can see that we have a cloud network over there, and one we have on-premises over here. And in on-premises we are having databases, different databases, where we are establishing first a VPN connectivity so that the on-premises and cloud is get connected in between themselves. Okay, and again we convert the database schemas using the SSMA, and it will convert the database schema from on-premises, and it will do a migration of my schema object from on-premises to the cloud. Then again, my data will go over the data backup. We take the data backup, and the data first initial data load will go over there to the cloud. And again, if it is required, then the incremental data changes will go. So because the migration not going to happen in a single time, so we make sure that we have a connectivity. Then we migrate the schemas, then we do a initial loading, and then we'll do a incremental loading. So this is one of the simplest format of an on-premises to a cloud migration. Then again, this is a format where we can utilize a backup and restores, and that is one where we are doing in a parallel, that it is also running and here it's also running. This is kind of doing a backup and restore for strategy where we can do. So here we are creating in a way where how we are doing a transaction backup right now here. So in the on-premises we do have our SQL Server and all, and here we are taking a full backup one time, and again we are taking a transaction logs here. We established a site-to-site connectivity between our on-premises and the cloud network using the VPNs. And here at the first stage, we are taking a backup. We do have a Azure blob storage over there. That blob storage is directly our SQL managed instance is directly going to consume the blob storages. So we need to just put our database backups to the blob storages, which will directly go. It's already connected over that, so it will directly get consumed, right? So this is one kind of architecture. So if you even see in the in the Azure portal, you can find a lot of ready built architectures available which we can simply consume. It will talk about the component that you need to use in between to make your journey. So you need to first strategize it. What you have in your hand, what you're going to use over there, and what will be the things available for me. So everything there is already on pre-built architectures available, so you can just utilize those architecture to do this journey. Otherwise you can understand, find out more, and you can build your own too. Okay, so apart from these things, few other things you need to understand is, so preparation apart from this thing you need to understand is one is the cloud economics. This is one major thing, because these are some of the decision points to choose the cloud. So we are okay, we are good to go with the cloud, but we need to find out whether it is good for me or not. So one thing is obviously price is very important, because we right now operating in one kind of price, a price structure. This is completely going to be changed when we migrate to the cloud. So we need to understand this particular thing, that how these things work and how the cloud is going to cost us, what will be the easiest thing, what will the easiest way to get the most out of the cloud. So we need to find out these things. So before doing any assessment, we need to find out what is going to be what is my right now, what's the cost of my cloud, what will be the capacity. It is kind of a just a comparison between your cost you are implementing and the utilization of the cost. So if you see what is the total cost, it will be the 50% of the cost is going for your servers, because it's a migration of a data center basically. So in the migration of data center, the 50% of the cost will be on your servers, and again you need to keep for building power, your people and network and everything. And finally these things are going to be completely going to take care. Many of the things are going to completely take care by your cloud provider. So you need to find out, you need to understand how the things are work, how you can map these two, because these two cannot be you cannot do an apple to apple comparison. You cannot put a paper and tell that right now this is the cost, and over migrating to the cloud you are going to get the benefit and you are going to get this cost. It is always a hidden game. So you need to understand it clearly, that how these things work, how your recommendations could be, because we are all we are the people who are going to recommend for this kind of a migration. So we need to understand these things very clearly, that how this recommendation should be, how it is going to be cost, whether it will be a benefit or not. And if it is going to cost more, then what is the additional benefit I'm going to get out of the additional cost, or whatever I'm going to pay for that. Okay, so we need to also understand why it is like. So we always have an option to utilize pay for what we utilize actually over there. So we need to understand what will be the right sizing for me. It is not necessary that we are going to purchase, or we need to go to hire very big resources right now. We need to very particularly know about what is the current consumption of my resources, what is actually needed for that. Maybe when we planning something for on-premises, we may plan for the next 5 to 5 years, or maybe next 7 to 10 years. So it may be very huge. We do not know, we cannot predict that is the way how the business will scale up or scale down in between. So we cannot just replicate those things over here. Here we need to understand what is actually going on, and what may be the right sizing for me to go with the cloud, so that I can save a lot now, and whenever it is needed I can just invest more over there. Okay, so when I'm reducing my cost, obviously my efficiency or the output, whatever I'm getting out of it, it will be maximized. So we will find out. It's based on the understandings of these things we can find out. So these are few crucial things we need to also understand. Apart from being technical, apart from being strategic, we need to also be very curious about, or very knowledgeable about these things, because this is the actual game, this is the actual play where we are putting the money and trying to get more from our resources where we are going to invest. Okay, right. So again, there is no option, there is a lot of option to go for a pay as you go models, a lot of option for many services. So there is no need to purchase everything completely as a full services. There's no need to go with everything to replicate everything whatever you do whenever on-premises services. So you can find out the service, you can find out and choose your options, which is right, which is easy for you. So you have a lot of lot of services to go with. Within the services, you have a lot of pay model to go with. Within the pay model, you have a lot of discount models, or you have a lot of licensing model to go with. So you can choose any out of them, whichever is suited for you. Okay. And again, there is one more option where we can utilize the Azure hybrid benefit. Azure benefit and reserved instance. So hybrid benefit is kind of if you are already a customer of Microsoft, you already hold Microsoft licenses, like you already purchased something for a SQL Server for a lifetime license or something, you are already holding it for a data server. So your investment may not be go waste. You are again moving to Azure cloud only, so you can make use of those kind of licenses. Even you can utilize your window licenses, server licenses, and SQL Server licenses, and just migrate those licenses to the cloud, so that you can again utilize the benefit of whatever you already invested even before thinking about the cloud. Right. So that is one important topic everyone we need to understand to know which is the best one to choose, which we can go and we cannot go. Technically, maybe few things are feasible, few things may be good to go, but many places, if the customer is not ready to invest in it, if the customer is not going to return the customer the best out of it, then we may need to choose something else. It is always good for us to give a cost-effective solution to our customer so that our customers stay with us along, right? So Azure, as I already talked about this, Azure hybrid benefit is one of the benefit that is given from Microsoft to utilize our existing licenses and make use of them. And again, there is one adoption framework is already available, which is also highly recommended for us to understand the entire game completely, and it is a kind of a framework. There is a predefined framework where they already classified into the stages, classified into the portion where we need to concentrate, where we need to understand, what we need to learn. So you just before moving into a cloud premises, the cloud from on premises, if you are doing for the first time or if you are doing for any new customer. So this is one of the cloud adoption framework which will be very helpful for us. So it will help you from starting from the beginning to end, and after once we migrate, to how to manage it, how to organize all those things, how to govern it, everything. It will have the tools, techniques, tutorials, your guides, everything. All the best practices is already available and created as a complete framework from Microsoft, because many of us do not have any clue about what to do, how to do, what is there. We do not have, obviously. So this will give you a complete picture of what is inside it. You can pick this framework, you can adopt this framework at any point of time. Even if you are in the mid of your migration, you already did it, you just maybe some our previous colleagues help us to do the migration, and you need to get the most benefit out of it. You need to know more about it, you need to find out what is inside the Azure platform for me to get the more out of the money whatever I'm investing. Then you can adopt this framework at any point of time. So this will help you at every stage, not only to a migration, even after you get migrated inside, when you get inside the cloud platform, it will help you to get more out of it. Okay. So finally, this is one of the important thing. Again, very important thing. Even if you are utilize the cloud for your own purpose, or you are going to use this cloud for some other customer or someone, this is one thing called as the TCO calculator. That is the total cost of operation. For my calculator, this will help you to do the pricing model. So we need to understand every services, how the services have been built. Not all the services have been built in the same way. Few are on one-time cost, few are on a license base, few are on the hourly base, few are on them a monthly billing or something. Few of them are consumption based. Even if you know the databases are something else, the data units we are consuming, many of them are based on the transactions. So there are a lot of things inside every services. So whatever, once we pick the services, what we need to be keep in our architecture, it is very important to go inside this calculator, keep this link handy with yourself, or don't forget to go inside it, find out that run this calculator to the services or the component that you are going to put. You pick and put inside your architecture, go through this calculator, find out what is good, what will be the good for you, run it to it, so you can achieve a cost. You can come to one cost point that will help you to find out that, okay, this is going to be my cost, and this is how I'm going to invest inside. Okay, so I think I'm done.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.